Just waiting notification. Excellent. Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning into a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a magnificent guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than our brother Capt Chris Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. And on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us today.
I would like to thank you for inviting me to this special moment for me, because it's always an honor to be invited somewhere, you know? So I
Yes,
take special pride in that, and I'm very grateful and honored.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, the honor is ours. The first question I want to know for you, sir, is there was a picture on Facebook. I'll make sure I get it sent to you. Of it was the FOI retreat in the 90s, and it was you and some other brothers walking, and everybody had a very serious face, and you could tell some business being taken care of. What was it like during those FOI retreats in the 90s?
I do have that same photo. Someone did send it to me several months ago, but it was very enlightening, very thought-provoking, and great camaraderie that was shared with the brothers in that time. You know, those were some rough times, because we're still in that building process. We're still grinding, you know, and we put a lot of work in. You know, it wasn't like the mosque. You went to the mosque on Monday night for FOI class, and Wednesday and Friday and Sunday. We were 7 days a week. We hardly shut the mosque down. We were at the mosque all the time. You know, we were up. We used to call the final call backaches, you know, because we're up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to get final call money in with our account executives at that time, you know. So it was very intense, but it was very, I'd say we learned a lot, you know. And I'd like to give a special shout out to your father, Brother Abdul Sharif Muhammad, who was the Supreme Captain at that time, a wonderful, wonderful brother that taught us a lot and had us go inside ourselves to learn a lot about ourselves. And maybe I'll touch on that a little bit more if the certain question pops up.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Beautiful. Okay. Well, when I saw that picture and many other pictures, there's a certain demeanor that you can tell you all had been battle tested and been through some things, you know, like the soldiers in the American Army, where you see people, these are veterans, people who put in work, and you can just look in the eyes of men who you can tell have faced certain things. What advice would you give to the younger generation about who have not had the opportunity to have engaged in the same type of missions that you all had, but about keeping our faith going through what the upcoming trials that we have in the nation and in our personal lives?
I would say the one thing is to stay prayerful, for one, to try and lean on as many words and lectures from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that you can get your hands on, because those are the things, you know, it's always been said, you know, you can talk a good game, but you don't know what happens when the test really comes. You don't know who you really are until you're faced with that adversity. You know,
yes, sir.
Back in, I would say it was 1989, maybe it was, that I stopped believing that Master Fard Muhammad was God. Because when a lost found put a gun in my chest to rob me, all I had on my mind was Master Fard Muhammad and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And when I told that brother that you have that gun and I have something and I'm not going to get hurt, he started shaking and backing up. And so at that point, once I got out of that situation, I didn't have to believe in that he was God anymore. I knew he was God. He
Yes,
proved
sir.
it to me. And so there have been many circumstances that, you know, I faced life and death situations, but I called on the God, you know. And one thing you can't do is you can't run from those circumstances, because that we've seen what happened and know about what happened with brothers who've turned their backs and run, you know. And so you have to face it. You go right into it, but you got to have a strong conviction and know that your God has power over all things. And that's what will get you through it. If you really are convicted in that, stay in that conviction. So that's what I would say. You have to be convicted and know and believe with all your heart that Allah is God and that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has power.
Yes,
and
sir.
is in power. And so those that will see you through those crunch times, as we say, crunch. That means it's difficult.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Praise be to Allah. People showing you love all around the world. And thank you, Brother
Praise be
Ronald, for
to
sending the greetings to everybody as well as Brother Chris and to the family as well. What I wanted to ask you, sir, is how did you set up an FOI class as the captain back in like how did you come up with the concept, with the training? Like what was it? What was the Captain Chris like? You know, if we would have came to FOI class, let us know what it was like, what we would experience in the FOI class when you were the captain.
Well, I gotta go deep down into my memory banks now because it's been quite some time. But you know, there was a format that was given by our brother Supreme Captain that came, you know, down the chain of command.
Yes, sir.
And I want to give credit because I was trained by some great people. Brother Captain Wali, Emeritus Wali Muhammad. I want to give credit to him. I also, may Allah be pleased with him, got a little firsthand training from Brother Khalid Muhammad. All of these brothers on the West Coast, we had, and you know, the West Coast was called West Point,
Yes,
but
sir.
the class was set up to where, you know, we did the drill like we still do, but we got a chance to be hands-on with the men in a way that we could talk. If you didn't, you know, overdo it. You know, sometimes we get caught up on the rostrum and want to just get carried away. But I think, in my humble opinion, that I didn't really get caught up with the rostrum, because one of the things that I always thought about before I ever got on the rostrum, I was very nervous because you have to be very careful what you say to God's people. And so when you're talking to the men of God, you want to motivate them to where is, I could say to this day that I could go to almost any brother that came up under my charge, and the brothers would tell me, Brother Cat, we'll do anything that you ask us to do, because the training of the men is not what you say, it's what you do. I never asked an FOI to do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself. I
Yes,
never
sir.
told the brother, you need to go out and sell your papers. I said, brother, let's go out and sell some papers. I never told the brother to go out and do this or that. I said, let's go do this or that. You know, so the training is not what you say, is how you say it and what you do. So in the lessons, it asks, what is the duty of the lieutenant? Well, if you ask most brothers, they'll say, teach the private soldier. But the lesson says to teach the private soldier, also train them. You can't train from behind, you train from out front, you know. So those are some of the things that I like to instill in my FOI class. And then you also bring in your student minister so that they can get a spiritual counterpart also. You know, the FOI class does belong to the captain, but you always want to let your student minister get his part in because he gives that spiritual balance. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that the captain and the minister should be in a marriage so that that works hand in hand with one another. So, you know, we used to have our ups and downs, and you know, I would do things that probably would maybe rub a brother the wrong way. And so when you have that relationship with your minister and the brother goes to the minister, well, the minister will say, well, brother, you know, he's just doing his job. Maybe he was a little overzealous. You know, he smooths it out with that spiritual counterpart. So those are the things that I would say to brothers nowadays is that the student minister and student captain have to be, you know, locked together. But the FOI class was a very informative, sensitive training area that is vitally necessary. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. People showing you love all around the world. Walaikum salam, Sister Naima. Okay, I wanted to ask you, let's go back to the West Point and the men who helped train the FOI in the 80s and the 90s. Let's talk about Captain Wali. What was it like? What was he like as a trainer of men? Because I remember him from being the dean of judges in the drill competition and things of that nature. And I remember him from the amazing bean pie and seeing him with his family. But I was too little to ever be in the FOI class or to see him train the brothers. What was that like?
Yes, sir. The training was that he was a stickler for you following the instruction and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He loved the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And so when you have a person like that who loves the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and wants to follow that guidance, then it's not hard for you to take instructions or guidance from that person. It makes it a lot easier. So the training it just makes it easy. You know, as long as, is that what you're willing to do? Is that why you came? Is that what you want to take on part of the mission of a man that has the hardest job ever given to any man to raise a people like us, you know, to take a person like myself, where I came from, and help in this mission. It was a wonderful job that our brother did for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I thank Allah for him.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And Brother Nelson Ramos says, Assalamu alaikum, family. Walaikum salam, Brother Nelson Ramos out of Massachusetts. Shout out to our YouTube family, Sister Auntie, Sister Hope, Brother Kente, Brother Musa, and everyone who continues to show love. Thank you all very much. I wanted to ask you, sir, about Dr. Khalid. What was it like, soldiering with him?
Oh, man, let me tell you something. Brother, we were in San Francisco one time, and the meeting was about to start, and there was no lost founds there. And myself and the brother captain that time in San Francisco was Brother Robert. Brother Khalid called us to the front. We put all the FOI together, and we left the meeting place and went into the projects. I'm talking about it's 10, at that time, the meeting was at 2:00 in the afternoon. At 1:45, we were in the projects fishing with Khalid in front. You know, he just wasn't going to allow us to just all believers be in the mosque and not go out. So he was a fisherman's fisherman. You know,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He would pull over and pull somebody up off the curb. You know, I heard a story at one point where he pulled over in a Rolls Royce and picked the brother up right off the curb, laying in the mud. You know,
yes, sir.
That's the kind of fisherman he was. you know. And so it was a great experience to go out with somebody with that tenacity, you know, and that vigilance to go after our people at whatever cost it might be. So yeah, I that's one of the things that, you know, we had to make sure that you can't be afraid of our people. If you're afraid of our people, you'll never go out to do the number one mission, the number one work, which is to deliver the dead to the Lamb of God.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
you have to have that love of self and kind in order to do that work. And I've seen firsthand Brother Khalid do that work. So that helped inspire me to want to do the same.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. And people are sending you greetings. Thank you all, everyone who was watching. Brother Frank, Assalamu alaikum salam family. Brother Rakib, Abdul, Muhammad Farrakhan, alaikum salam. Brother said all praises to Allah. Brother Ahichi, thank you very much. And Sister Naima says all praises to Allah. Wonderful. Thank you all very much. Yes, sir. I wanted to ask you, as when you were captain, you were active, how did you gauge which brothers to place in what position? How did you, like, based off the temperament, the personality, how did you know, like how to like let us teach us how to be a teachers and trainers of men?
Well, my example came from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He said the best one is the one who can follow the instructions. You know, I had in my tenure as a captain maybe 6 or 7 first officers. You know, because once you drop the ball, I got to go with the next man.
Yes, sir.
You know, see what we have to understand. It's not personal. It's not personal. I love you as a brother, but you failed in this duty, so now I have to put somebody else in that spot. You know, and so and the brothers that I relieved off their post, they still love me. They fell right back in the ranks, you know. So it's not like you're being punished. It's just that at this point in time, you can't handle that function. So we have to keep that thing moving. You know, we have to keep the function rolling. It, you know, that old saying, what I don't want to use that terminology, but you know, one person don't stop the show. They would use a different name, but I'll just say it like that. One person don't stop the show. And
Yes,
so
sir.
if you fail in your duty, maybe you get another opportunity at another time. I had a brother, may Allah be pleased with him, Brother Danny. He was my first officer twice, you know, but he came back around to it. You know, it just happens like that sometimes. So it's all in choosing based on duty, not hey, this is my buddy, this is my pal. You know, it don't work like that. You will be a failure yourself based on those. If you use those tactics, you have to base it on duty.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, I wanted to ask you a very important question. You spoke as doing your tour of duty and your tenure as a captain. Once you were no longer active as a captain in Oakland and you moved to another city and things of this nature, what advice would you give to people, believers, about functioning once you are no longer in an active title? No, you're no longer a laborer.
Well, let's go back to how it all happened. I was properly relieved, and I was allowed, because of my service, to choose the next captain for the city. I think we had a joint FOI class in San Francisco when our brother, regional student captain at that time, and still the captain today, Brother Khalid Muhammad, we sat down and talked, and he gave me some idea of what was going to happen, you know. And so once that happened, we named our next captain. He came up on the roster. I think that was a Saturday we had that joint meeting. that Monday night, I was in FOI class. And the thing that I've seen certain brothers that had a hard time, falling back in, I didn't have a hard time because in my heart, I knew that I never did any wrong to another man. No matter, I might have made a mistake or an error, but I never intentionally did anything because I had the authority to do something. I would tell the brothers, you won't be able to use me as your excuse for you falling away. You won't never be able to say, I saw Brother Captain come out of the liquor store and he had a little paper bag in his hand. You will never be able to say, I saw Brother Captain over Sister So-and-so's house. You won't ever be able to say, I saw Brother Captain, he had a cigarette in his mouth. No,
yes, sir.
you
Yes,
won't
sir.
be able to use me. And I prided myself on trying to be as straight and narrow with the law as possible.
All praise is due to Allah. Yes, sir. Go ahead and teach. And thank you, everyone who was showing love all around the world, and continue to show love to the People's Podcast. Brother Captain, we have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. We are grateful for all of them. One moment. Here we go. There we go. 1 second. And thank you for every like, share, and subscription. 1 second. Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. There we go. It's just loading. On live. There we go. Thank you for everybody who likes, shares, and subscribes. Thank you for every anonymous Cash App to help keep the People's Podcast going. We are truly grateful. We have some more great guests like our brother coming up very soon. Thank you all for watching. And here we go. Here's the promotion and sponsorship. Thank you. Boom. And we are live with the People's Podcast. Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Perfect. Thank you very much. And please let us know what city you all are watching from. And if you have any guest suggestions, just put them in the comments and we will get right back to them. Walaikum salam, Sister Miriam. Thank you very much for watching. Okay, yes, sir. I wanted to ask you about recently, about 2 weeks ago, O.J. Simpson passed. And I wanted to know what was the climate like during the O.J. Simpson trial? How did that affect the FOI? And that just back in the 90s leading up to the Million Man March, what was that like with the O.J. Simpson trial?
Well, I think we all probably had an eye on it, but that wasn't our focus because our focus was the drive for the Million Man March.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, we were really, really locked in for the Million Man March. At that time, in the Bay Area, we were visited on many occasions by our angel, our dear brother Jabril Muhammad, and at that time, Dr. Benjamin Chavis spent a lot of time in the Bay Area. So we were doing a lot of galvanizing in that whole area. So, I mean, we saw what was going on with the OJ trial, but that wasn't our focus. Our focus was on Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Million Man March to make his word bond and show that we were with him 100%.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, speaking of the Million Man March, I've interviewed quite a few, more than quite a few, but a lot of the FOI and some of the MDT who were at the Million Man March speaking about, some of them said they would tell their family, if I don't make it home, this is what's in motion. Both of my parents, when I interviewed them, they spoke about how they didn't know what was going to happen at the Million Man March and things of this nature. What was your mindset going in, and were you nervous about whether or not you would make it back home to your family?
No, I really wasn't nervous about making it back home because I believed that Allah was in control of everything. So that's what I was leaning on as far as I can't go there and have fear, you
Yes, sir.
know.
Yes, sir.
So I went there with the outlook of that, Allah was going to bless us, and it was I got there a week early. I was
Okay.
able
Okay.
to go over to the where the uh, I guess when the Kappa House or whatever where the
Yes, sir.
headquarters was. I was
Yes, sir.
around there quite a bit, and I got a chance to, be with some brothers that normally you wouldn't be with a brother from Washington or Baltimore or, New
Yes, sir.
York or whatever, so it really shows you that wherever we go, we have brothers all over the country and all over the world. So I went in there, and then, when we got there, we were stationed at the Lincoln Memorial, the West
Mm.
Coast. And so Brother Cap Wali had us report at, well, he told us to be there no later than 5 a.m., but we got there around 4 o'clock. It was about maybe 125 of us brothers, and we were there. And so we were just sitting back there, but we could hear the momentum building up. And then when the sun came up, we could see it was starting to transpire. And we were called up to the front. So I think it was around maybe 11 o'clock that morning.
Mm.
We started making our way up to the Capitol. And the brothers was just partying like the Red Sea for us. It was amazing, and we would stop on a couple of occasions and converse with, brothers that would ask questions. We didn't, you have to learn how to be a people person
Yes,
when
sir.
you have authority so that those who are under you can understand and see how to maneuver, and to see that all our people should be respected and treated
Mm.
in the way that we've been treated and raised by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He never treated us bad. So
Yes,
why
sir.
would we treat his people bad? Why would
Mm.
we treat God's people bad? So you show everybody the respect, and then you let them, hey, brother, I do have an assignment. I got to keep moving now. But you do it respectfully. Oh, man, I ain't got time to talk to you. We got to learn how to handle and speak to our people. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad says is show a genuine concern for the people. That's in the proper handling of people. So
Mm.
you have to be smooth when you have men under your charge.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. And people are showing you love. Thank you very much. My nephew, Daquan, I think this is his first time watching, but he lived in Phoenix, and he said, Brother Chris, with an exclamation. Thank you, Kwani, for showing Brother Chris love. Thank you for showing Brother Captain love. Beautiful. Um, yes,
Praise
sir.
be to Allah.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about Oakland. So I've never been, but through music, through television, through movies, I feel like I've been there. Seems like
Yes, sir.
it feels like a very intense place. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Too Short and all the rappers who helped us, E40 and all these people you live in. You like, man, Oakland is wild. Like the Yay area, all this kind of stuff. What would what was it like? Why you were there? What made you stay, even though it was so much conflict and violence and things of that nature?
Well, I mean, that's where I live. So, you have to, wherever you are, you have to make it a safe place to live.
Mm,
You
mm.
can't. So what we're gonna do? Let the people that are doing whatever they're doing run us out of town? No, that's not how it goes. So even though there was lots of altercations, we've had. See, that's what I remember. Brother Captain Dennis was in Phoenix some years ago, And one of his things, it was an all men's meeting, but one of the things he said about Phoenix's brothers, where are your victories? Where have you been battle tested? You haven't been battle tested. And to this day, we still haven't been battle tested here in Phoenix, but we were battle tested in Oakland. We went against the police. We went against other factions who wanted to, quote unquote, call themselves the Nation of Islam. We went against, brothers in the streets. We had to deal with certain things. We had a brother come into the mosque with a weapon to shoot our minister at that time, Brother Minister Abdul Rab Muhammad. So there's things that, but we got him in the check room. It just praise be to Allah. He just luckily had a revolver that jammed and he was able to limp away. But there's a lot of adversities that we had to deal with. So we were battle tested. We lost a brother in our city because of another brother that was a coward. And Brother Toure Muhammad, he was a school teacher at Muhammad's University of Islam. And he didn't do anything wrong, but he went to his brother's aid, and his brother turned out to be a coward, and got him shot in the back. So, we were battle tested, but we shut down the city of Oakland for 2 weeks until the perpetrator turned up, and he had nowhere to go. We shut down all the clubs, all the parties, all the parks. We shut down everything until he turned up. And we were in the courthouse every day until he was sentenced. And he got sentenced 15 to life. It's not proud that another brother had to go into that system, but it happened because you did something that didn't please Allah.
Yes, sir.
And it was your father, on the instructions of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that came to the city of Oakland and put that brother out of the nation for the rest of his natural life for being a coward.
Yes, sir. Beautiful history. Thank you very much, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, after all of this, climbing the stick, boom, 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 you running militaries, this, and that. How did you? I just want to make sure I worded it right with the junior FY that was coming up under you. How did you transfer that to the next generation and say this is what it is? This is what it's like to be battle tested. This is what this is what the future holds for you. How did you teach that to the next generation that was coming up?
Well, to be honest, my next generation was my FOI. Because at the time, we had a lot of brothers who were, maybe from 19 to 24 years old, maybe still living with their mom, so it was those brothers that, they would give me the battle test myself, that would give me a hard time, and understanding how to accept instructions coming from another Black man who's not your father. Maybe you didn't have that male role in your home at the time. So it was a lot of pushback. But now, some 35 years later, 40 years later, those same brothers will come, Brother Captain, man, I didn't know what you was doing back then, but I appreciate everything now, because now I got children and now I understand what you meant when you said this and what you meant when you did this. They understand it now. So that young generation are now in other cities or maybe still in the city of Oakland, and they are, those who are up in the ranks now. So it was a test, and I have to give credit to my wife, Sister Catherine Muhammad. She would smooth me out, brother. I'd get home sometimes and I'd be in an uproar. She said, don't bring that captain crap up in here. That ain't going down up in here. You know, she would straighten me out, and you have to submit to it. You know, you have to know when to take the hat off and just be yourself, you know.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And people showing you love. We have more questions about your advice for fathers and husbands as well. Thank you, Brother Daquan. Thank you, Sister Anea. Thank you, Brother Cali. Cali says we was battle tested for real this way. You were his captain in Oakland. Brother Shaka Shakur. Brother Minister Jamil says, we love you. Good to see you, Brother Captain from the town. Thank you, everyone, for showing love. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, speaking of your wife, I had the honor of meeting her on the white carpet when I was in Phoenix a couple months
Yes, sir.
ago. Had a
Yes, sir.
beautiful spirit. Praise be to Allah. I got to meet your children as well. How important has it been for you to have a woman in your life, a wife in your life like that during your tenure in the Nation of Islam? How important is it to have a wife by your side?
Brother, it's one of the most important things that you can have, other than the God, his Christ, and the messenger in our midst.
Yes,
It
sir.
is so important because, first of all, she has to understand the mission. Second of all, she has to realize that you're not going to always be there for her when she needs you. Yes, you want to be there, but duty comes first. The mission is first, always. I can remember, and I don't want to mess up the year, but I think it was 1993 or 4. The minister was in Hawaii, and so I went to Hawaii on that detail also.
Okay.
But it was our anniversary, and she said, "Well, you forgot all about our anniversary. You forgot all about me." And I said, "Well, go in the closet and look in that pair of shoes that's sitting right there." I had a pair of shoes sitting out, her shoes sitting out for her. And she went in there, and I had a ring in there for a diamond ring. And she, "Oh, you remembered. It was, it was beautiful." So you have to always make preparations.
Yes,
You
sir.
just can't abruptly leave and do things without preparing them and making a way for them to be a comforter, because they need security. The woman wants security. So you have to make a way to make them feel secure so that it doesn't become a problem for you.
Yes, sir.
Because it can become a problem if you let it or make it a problem. So we're going on our 36th year of marriage right now, and I just feel blessed. My lost found friends in the world that we go around on certain occasions when we go visit back in LA and California. This is what they say to me. I'm not going to use the full word, but they say, "You a lucky Ian." They said, "How did you come up with that? You a lucky Ian."
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so I say, "Yeah, I am. I'm blessed. Praise be to Allah."
Beautiful. Excellent. Yes, sir. Brother Cap, people showing you love all around the world. Thank you, Brother Leon X. Thomason says he remembers Captain Chris. Brother Nelson Ramos says, what a great interview. Brother Leon, continue to make your incredible music representing the Bay Area. Thank you, and thank you for always showing love to the People's Podcast. People, please go back and watch the interview I did with him, representing, and he was one of the people who suggested. He said, I interview people from all around the country. Don't forget about the West, and I can never forget about the West. Yes, sir. I wanted to ask you about your blood brother, brother Iman. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. What was that like? And speaking of being lucky and blessed that your parents could have two believing children out of the same, like, how did that come about?
Well, actually, it was 3 of us. My second oldest brother was the first to accept the teachings in 1969, under Brother Minister Abdul Rahab Muhammad, at that time, Brother Billy X. He was visiting one of his friends up at Stanford University in 1969 and accepted the teachings then. The thing is, he came home that night, and the next morning, my mother came out to our room and said, "Who threw all the bacon out of the house? Who threw all the pork out?" He said, "We don't eat that no more." So, yeah. So actually, we've been off pork since 1969. And it was a blessing at that time. Brother Iman, I think, came into the nation in 72 or 73. I'm not sure the exact date. And at that time, actually, I was in junior high school. I actually was in processing at that time, but you know, due to the nation falling in 75, I never finished processing. So I think that was the blessing that prepared me to be on this side, you know. So yeah, it's a blessing that my brother, he's been steadfast all these years, a great lover and helper of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, so I thank him for being there for me, and help me in my tutelage coming up.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Well, okay, I wanted to ask you about you said your brother, so you had two older siblings, but what was it, because you got to see the fall, even though you were in junior high, what was it about the rebuilding that made you want to accept even after you witnessed the fall? What made you want to like say, I'm gonna join on this side?
Brother, that whooping that the devil put on you. I was coming home from San Diego one time. Me and a friend, we were detained by the police in San Diego. We didn't do anything, but I had a brand 1973 Coupe de Ville Cadillac, and it was clean. It was clean. And they pulled us over, and they told us that my car was stolen. I gave them my registration, everything that showed the car was mine, but they said it was stolen. They locked my car, put us in the police car, and took us to the police station and left us sitting in the back seat of the police car for about 3.5 hours. Then they took us back to my car and said, "You all can go." And on the way home, I put it in a tape by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, The Judgment of America. And that was it for me. I said, this white man is killing me. So I was ready. You have to go through certain things sometimes. And like they say, when all else fails, there's Islam. So
Yes, sir.
I went through some things that, one of the reasons why when my mother was blessed to meet the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, she was able to tell him she just wanted to meet the man to save my son's lives. So that, because it was a lot of turmoil going on through what some of the activity that I had gotten myself involved in. So they just beat me down to where I had to submit. Brother Iman told me at one point, he said, "Brother, Allah will let the devil clean you up." Yeah. And that's how it happened. So in early 1983, I started soldiering.
All praises due to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. And people are showing you love. Thank you, Brother Leon. Says great wisdom. And thank you. Someone said that you have a sister in the mosque in Phoenix as well.
Yes, sir. Sister Charlotte.
That's incredible. Praise be to Allah. Always believe that. Okay, great. Yes, sir. And may we have your parents' names, sir?
Violet and Charles.
Okay, yes, sir.
Brother Iman actually was named after my father. His first name was Charles.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. And may Allah continue to bless your parents and bless your family as well. Now, speaking, I wanted to ask you about your children. A brother and a daughter. What is the difference in raising a son and a daughter? How do you approach that?
Well, okay.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
my son, brother Sharif, he never gave us any problems.
Mm,
He
mm,
he actually accompanied me to the first junior FOI camp in Atlanta, Georgia. I think that was in 1996 or 97. He's only a year old. And, back then there wasn't no two, uh, 9/11. So when we got on the airplane, he was able to go up into the cockpit and
mm,
see
mm,
the pilot and everything. And so that uh, at that time, when he came out, he said, "That's what I want to do.
mm,
I want to build my mother an airplane." And
mm,
so to this day, he is an aeronautical engineer, and he stayed on task. So, I mean, he had his ups and downs in high school and college, but he stayed the path. And he graduated, I think, in 2018.
mm.
So he now works for a company that he actually gets a chance to work from home at this point because ever since COVID, they kind of switched things around a little bit. But he's he's very intelligent, and he's actually a lieutenant now in the mobs.
Praise be to
So,
Allah. And where did you get that name from, sir?
well, it was partly your father, but when he was 2 years old, we were at a Savior's Day, and he actually got a chance to meet our brother Raymond Sharif,
Okay, okay,
the
okay.
Supreme Captain of the Nation of Islam. And I have a picture of him with Raymond Sharif holding him in his arms in Mosque Mariam.
Praise be
So
to Allah.
it, that's what we kind of go with in your father also, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But
Beautiful.
my daughter, she's was just trying to find her way, you know. And one of the things that our children have to be mindful of is that we should be the trendsetters, not going along with our lost found friends, you know, and what they call peer pressure. No, we should put pressure on them to see the example in us so that they want to do better by themselves as we do better by ourselves.
Mm,
As
mm.
we're taught, you don't condemn the dirty glass, you just set the clean glass next to it. Now, which one do you want to drink out of? That's what we have to try and put that in our children, to just accept your own and be yourself, and let the chips fall where they may.
Oh,
Everybody's not going to be your friend. You can't make people like you.
mm. Yes, sir. Great teaching. All right, and Brother Captain, I wanted to ask you, uh, what type of music do you enjoy listening to, sir?
Well, I kind of grew up on jazz, but I listen to R&B. I listen to certain rap. One of uh, one of the properties that I go to that we're doing some work on, when I get there, the first thing I put on is Drake, God's Plan. That
Okay.
that kind of gets me going, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That kind of gets me going, and then I might put on some Coltrane or some Lee Morgan, which is jazz, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
All
then
right.
maybe down in the line when we're kind of concentrating, we might listen to uh I've couple of things I've been listening to of the minister. belief in Allah, and uh, just kind of go back to that early days, in the Final Call Administration building, some of those tapes, and get a joy out of looking at a young Mustafa Farrakhan. It just shows you the dedication of our dear brother Supreme Captain, and
Yes,
his
sir.
love for his father, which, we can never thank him enough for the sacrifice of being one of those who is helping protect a man that has God's protection and his Christ's protection, but is willing to put himself on the line. You can't thank a man like that enough.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And I wanted to ask you about, and thank you everyone who's watching all around the world. I wanted to ask you about golf and how important is that, for you? How did you grow to become an avid golfer?
Um, I wouldn't have probably ever started playing golf if it wasn't for Tiger Woods, to be honest with you. Once I saw a young black boy dominating the field as he did, it's why they kept us out of everything. Serena and Venus, basketball, the NFL, a black couldn't be a quarterback. He wasn't smart enough to be the quarterback. Now practically every team has a black quarterback,
Yes, sir.
But the golf, it was something that allowed me to just deal with myself, to be, see, you're not playing against anybody, you're challenging the golf course. They had a saying back in the 90s that they used to tiger proof the golf courses because he could drive the ball so far, because he came in where you used to see a bunch of pot belly white guys. Now they all got into fitness because of him. But I like it. I call it my mental laboratory. I go out and I don't have to worry about, my wife will tell you when I go to play golf, she knows she don't call me on the phone because I don't like to be interrupted unless it's an emergency.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll call her and say, hey, is everything okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, I'm gone. That's what I do because you want to block out distractions and you want to just be with yourself. Actually played with my nephew. I was in California a week ago. I played with my nephew, brother Captain Naeem Muhammad, and brother Daniel Muhammad. So there are a few brothers that have taken up the game and like to go out and it's a way to just kind of release some pressure. I just love it. I true story. When my mom passed, once they took her body, we were in California, Pasadena, Altadena. Once the coroner came and took her body, now I went back and flew back to Oakland. And I got back to Oakland. The first thing I did was went into my garage, got my golf clubs, and went to the golf course because it's a sanctuary. It's a sanctuary for me that I don't have to deal with nobody out there. I can go and just concentrate on myself and my game and try and upgrade my game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I'm not too bad, if I may say so.
Well, praise be to Allah. Well, Brother I have family that's in Arizona, so I'm familiar with Maricopa, Levine, Scottsdale. So a little bit. I'm a little familiar with a little bit what's going on out there in Phoenix. But
Yes, sir.
the next time I visit, I would love for you to go on the golf course and to learn and a few things from you because all I know is from putt golf and from me going on dates in high school and stuff playing putt golf. But I never really been, and I lived right golf all around me, but I never played, so it just wasn't my thing. But I would love for you to you just made me want to go learn, play some golf.
Well,
Also,
here's what I'd like to do, brother. I would like to have take you out, show you some things of golf, and then invite you to my home for dinner.
oh, praise it.
So whenever you come out, let's make a date, and
Yes,
we'll
sir.
make that happen. We'll make that happen.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. It'll be my honor, sir. It'll be soon too. It'll be soon, very soon. Next month, inshallah, I'll be there.
Yeah,
Um,
yes, sir.
yes, sir. Well, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule for coming on the People's Podcast. Thank you for always showing love. I wanted to talk about Junior FY Camp. Lastly, that I remember vividly seeing you with the camera and all but though you were very serious and I knew that you were protective and you were intense, I always felt the love. So I thank you for always showing love to me and my family and to the Junior FY from that Junior FY camp. I love, shout out to the Junior FY camp, and I wish we could bring those back for the other Junior FY so you all can know how, man, you talking about battle tested. And I don't know what kind of battle test they was doing for other children, but it was out there. We was out there picking beans on Muhammad's farm, and
Yeah, that's
bugs
right.
and mosquitoes attacking me. I was like, no, get me to the car. Get me. Everybody was laughing at me because I was like, no, I need some AC. I don't like, no. So, but yes,
Oh man. Yes,
but
that was
I enjoyed
wonderful.
the GFY camp. So yes, sir, I've enjoyed it. And I met
Yes,
people
sir.
there that I'm still bonded with for life. So shout out to everybody who put the Junior FY camp together. And man, hopefully moving forward, we can get that for the next generation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking time to come out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off. Thank you all for watching all around the world. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam.
May
Thank
Allah
you.
continue to, yes, sir. Thank you. May Allah continue to bless you, and thank you all for watching.
Yes, sir.